Meet me in the foyer.
Hello, and thank you for again choosing to meet me in the foyer for our new film show. And as always, I'm joined by Linda Marrick. How are you doing, Linda?
I'm very well. How are you?
Not too bad, yes. Been a
Good.
busy week, but it's going all right.
Good.
So we're going to bring you some reviews of the latest films out in cinemas, vying for your hard-earned cash. And we'll also chat about the box office top 10, some of the latest film news, and I'll make a classic film suggestion to keep you entertained for the next week. So why don't we start, as always, with a review from Linda. What have you got for us this week, Linda?
The first film I'm going to review is there's currently the UK or the London version of the South by Southwest Film Festival that's taking place this coming week at the Barbican in London. And with a couple of quite interesting movies, and I'm not going to be reviewing every single film on the list, but I just happen to have seen one of the films, which is the Mike Flanagan's The Life of Chuck.
The universe is large, and it contains multitudes, but it also contains me. And in this moment, I am wonderful.
Which I will be telling you about it right now. So, Mike Flanagan, much, Doctor Sleep, Hush, and a number of other films. I have to say, I'm not a massive fan of Mike Flanagan, but I am completely aware that I am in a minority here. And as people really reckon that he is a top director, I find his directing and in general his stuff not really that impressive. I think what he's good at, he's also a screenwriter, so and what he's good at is taking ideas from um, a repertoire, repertoire, and remaking it to feel like it's new, but I don't think any of his stuff is super new. I'd heard about this quite a bit with either people really raving about it and other absolutely hating it.
Mhm.
I find myself in the middle of this. So the film stars Tom Hiddleston, Jacob Tremblay of Room fame, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Karen Gillan, Mark Hamill, Annalise Basso. I mean, anyone who's everyone. Nick Offerman is on this as well. He's actually the narrator of the film. Um, all sorts of any name you can think of is in here, and the story is basically it's based on the 2020 novella by Stephen King, and people who know the novella by Stephen King will know exactly what to expect. I think it's best that I don't give away anything. It's a film that is made out of several chapters. So when we start the film, it's kind of a film in reverse in a way. We get to meet we don't get to meet Tom Hiddleston himself until way into the second chapter, and it's science fiction. I want to say more like fantasy rather than science fiction, thriller drama about this a the first story is about a school teacher attempting to carry on teaching his class whilst the world around him is falling apart. There are strong rumors that it's the end of the world. Things are happening. There's fires, earthquakes. The sinkholes opening up and swallowing whole towns. Half of California is gone. Well, with the whole, by the end of that chapter, the whole of California has gone. Nothing is really explained, but there are a lot of things that there's an eerie sense about the town they live in. These characters all feel as though they're not real. And that's all I'm going to say. And I think it's best that you don't know anything about it. I went in completely blind watching this because I'd heard so much about it being such a Marmite film that I really genuinely wanted to I didn't even watch the trailer. And for me, I think if you want to be surprised, it's best not to watch the trailer. So I thought, I think it's a nice idea, and I'm a massive fan of Stephen King, and this isn't a novella I've read before. I've not I haven't read a great amount of short stories of King because I prefer his novels. So when I pick up a King novel, I want it to be long, and I want to live with those characters for longer than just, a day or so. So I haven't really, it's not something that I read, and I maybe it is a story that maybe could land itself more as a short. I don't know what I think. I mean, I know that I wasn't really boiled over by it. I just found it all very mechanical. I also thought that it's a film that thinks it's being really clever in what it does, but I could see through it, and I didn't know the conceit at all. But I managed to guess it straight away, and I think it's a mistake on the part of the director, the screenwriter, because it's something that I picked up straight away. I have no idea because I haven't really chatted to that many people around it. I actually saw this very recently, and I've not really had a chance to interact with anyone else that's seen it. Um, I mean, Hiddleston is brilliant in this, obviously, but as I say, you don't see him for absolutely ages. Like more or less the first 40 minutes, he's non-existent. The only thing you see of him is on a billboard and an advertising billboard that says "Thanks for 38 years" or "Thanks for 39 years," and this becomes like a riddle that everyone is trying to solve. The Chiwetel Ejiofor character, this teacher, he notices this Chuck guy, and he's like, "Who is Chuck?" And Karen Gillan plays the teacher's ex-wife, and she's either a nurse or a doctor in this hospital. And there's weird things start happening around them, and I think the best way of describing this is to say that it's almost like a lost Twilight Zone story. And I genuinely would have enjoyed this more had it been part of like a series of stories, like a Black Mirror thing. I don't think it warranted having a whole like a feature film. I could be wrong, and people might absolutely love it. I wasn't sold on it. And like many people, I generally wasn't sold on it, and I mostly wasn't sold on it on it gives away the twist too quickly, I feel. But other than that, I thought everyone was absolutely brilliant in this. I thought everyone was just excellent, and it's a massive cast, and they're all brilliant, and there isn't much else I could tell you about it, really. Yeah.
Okay. Um, right. Well, I'm not a Stephen King reader, I have to say.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Okay. Oh, no, I am a huge, huge, huge fan.
I mean, I'm not a horror fan in any genre and or medium, I should say. And so, yeah, the few horror books I've read, I've not lent towards reading Stephen King at all.
I think describing King as just a horror writer is probably not accurate because lots of his stuff is also very philosophical, very intriguing. I mean, I'd say he's more of a kind of like a fantasy writer rather than a horror writer because not all of his books are horror books. I don't know, like the few last ones that I've read, like Holly and the ones that came before it. I've never really thought of him as solely a horror writer. So, uh, like I'm. I love horror, but not to the point where I'm going to read every Stephen King book. But I like his writing, and I like finding out what the conceit is, and I think he's really strong.
Is it not fair to say that the majority of his works are horror works? Uh,
Um, I don't know. I'd say yes, but not all of it is.
yeah,
Misery is Misery a horror? Yeah, I guess it is a horror, but it's more of a thriller,
yeah.
isn't it? It's like a thriller rather than horror. I mean, loads of his books are based in reality, and then and then have like the oddity about them, but I wouldn't say. I think if he'd just been a straightforward horror writer, I don't think he would have had this much of longevity, And I personally love the way he builds the story, builds his worlds, and sort of really sucks you into thinking it's one thing or the other. Um, I My issue with this film isn't the storyline itself. I think the storyline itself lends itself to maybe being made into a shorter format rather than a whole like almost 2 hour movie. It's not actually 2 hours, 1 hour and yeah, well, maybe it is 2 hours actually. Yeah, I was bored. I was looking at my watch quite a bit, and I think that's a sign that I wasn't completely in. But yeah, I will leave it to you to either agree or disagree.
I wonder whether all of his books shouldn't be adapted because it's almost become, so many of his works have been adapted into films. It's almost become an industry in itself that, the next person wanting to make a Stephen King will pick the next one off the shelf that hasn't been adapted. And maybe all of them shouldn't be. They're not suitable because
Well,
too many
yeah.
of them get negative reviews as films. You know,
Lots of them do, but people still go and see them. People love Stephen King, like even the worst Stephen King. I always say I always buy Stephen King's books whenever they come out, and I always buy them on the first week they come out because I even if it's a bad Stephen King book, it's still good because all of his books are really well written and sometimes spit out there. And I think like the further we go, the sort of I think his more recent ones have not been that coherent, but at the same time, I feel like I owe him the sort of having been a fan all my life of his, like from a very young age. I feel like it would be wrong not to carry on loving what he does, and we are very lucky to still have him, or we're lucky to have him still writing, and he absolutely loves cinema, and he's forever. I mean, on his social media, he's forever praising other people's work, including in writing. And I always make note of whatever he's praising, and I always make sure to get those books or watch the shows that he's talking about. And as someone who is hugely respected, this film might do really well. I don't know. I'm actually puzzled as to why it's had such good reviews, because to me, it's not a perfect film. I really like as I say, I like the conceit. I like the premise of it. I think the premise is the best thing about it. Not entirely sure I buy it all.
Fair enough. And I haven't seen it. The only film I've seen by this director is Doctor Sleep, which I really enjoyed, actually. I wasn't sold for the first 20 minutes, half an hour, and then it just drew me in, and by the end I realized I was absolutely loving it. Very strong performances from the cast, which helped.
Oh, he's really beloved, this director. People love him, he did Before I Wake, which was quite an interesting sort of like almost like paranoia driven movie. What else? Ouija, The Origin of Evil. I thought that was okay. Gerald Games. I think I've seen all of his films, actually. I'm not sold. I'm this close to becoming a fan, but I'm not quite there yet.
Fair enough.
No.
Well,
he did write The Haunting of Hill House, which did really well, which was very, very popular in 2020. And then The Haunting of Bly Manor, which I thought was in Midnight Mass, hugely popular for Netflix that he did. And then The Fall of the House of Usher, which I haven't seen yet. All in all, I think he is someone who's very clever on the projects he's choosing to make, and I think I'd rather have someone like him trying to make movies like this than the usual blockbuster nonsense. But I just don't think he is as perfect a filmmaker as some people are making him out to be.
Fair enough.
My opinion.
Well, that's Linda's review of your first possible choice as you head to the box offices this week. So what else do we have for you this week? Well, of course, we might as well run down the box office top 10. So I've looked this up this afternoon. So the new published box office record from the weekend is as follows. At 10, Ryan Coogler's Sinners still remains in the top 10. A highly recommended film from us here at Meet Me in the Foyer. At 9, Jack Schreier's Thunderbolts. The latest Marvel film is at number 9, which we both enjoyed. At 8, another example of TV on the cinema screen. It's the final two episodes of the latest series of Doctor Who, which I watched last night and thought were absolutely terrible, but let's move on from that.
Oh dear. I haven't watched this last season at all, and I haven't. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I just have not watched it.
No, I was umming and erring about how I was feeling about it throughout the entire series, and then the last 2 episodes really put the nail in the coffin.
Oh dear.
It's come down from me.
Never mind.
Things in the fridge now for a little while, so we'll see what happens when it comes back. I did say today, well, maybe I'm going to give up, but then by the end of that conversation I was having, I thought, no, who am I kidding? I'm going to watch the next episode.
Of course you
are. 7, The Phoenician Scheme from Wes Anderson, which we've discussed before. At 6, Final Destination Bloodlines, which got a very positive review from Linda, and I'm afraid a dog ate my homework and I still haven't been to see. So it's a black mark for me. At 5, Pepper Meets the Baby Cinema Experience. I have no idea.
Mummy Pig gave birth, apparently.
Oh, okay.
Peppa Pig, yeah.
At 4, Marion Elliott's The Salt's Path, which...
wow, that's doing well.
It is indeed.
Yes, I did say it would do well, didn't I?
Yeah. I'm feeling I might go and spend my money on that one. At 3, Jonathan Entwistle's Karate Kid Legends, which got a very positive review from other sources, but I I don't think I'll bother, frankly.
Not a fan of the franchise at all.
No.
I have absolutely zero wish to see it.
Yeah, beyond that, I watched the originals as a child and thought they were great, and then I went back and watched them sometime in the last 10 years, and they are some stinky movies. And I happened to see the Jackie Chan reboot, I think last year, with Will Smith's son, and my God, that's awful. Two, Christopher McQuarrie's Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and at one, it's the same as last week. It's Dan Fleischer Camp's, I should say, Lilo and Stitch, the latest Disney semi-live action remake. So pretty much as we were from last week, of course, still in school half term, I believe, for some schools.
Yeah.
We have apprehended a dangerous experiment.
He escaped.
On May 23rd.
You sure that's a dog?
Yeah.
Rough.
Agent Cobra Bubbles, I need to find out what kind of threat we're dealing with.
You can't take him.
Disney's Lilo and Stitch. Rated PG. In theaters May 23rd.
So I think we should head back to Linda and bother her for a second review.
Okay, so I think the big release this week is obviously Ballerina by from the same world as John Wick. Or if you want to, it's being marketed as from the world of John Wick, Ballerina.
When you think of me, you should think of fire.
I know you. I know your pain.
This isn't done until they're dead.
Buena suerte, señorita.
When you think of me, you should think of fire.
Those people that you're looking for, they're surrounding this hotel right now.
Risen from the ashes, again and again, fire.
You don't choose to be a killer. You are chosen.
No! I chose this!
Consequences.
Risen from the ashes, again and again. Again and again. Again and again.
And what, may I ask, is your name?
When you think of me, you should think of fire.
So it's a film. So it's directed by Len Wiseman, written by Shea Heffernan, and it takes place between the event of John Wick 3 Parabellum and Chapter 4. Parabellum is one of my favorite movies in the franchise, I have to say. So Ana de Armas, who we saw kick ass so many times in films lately, and she's brilliant. She's turning out to be a fantastic action actress, but she's also a very good actress, and very capable. She plays Eve Macaro, a ballerina assassin who begins to train as an assassin tradition of Fresca Roma, and she sets out to exact the revenge of her father, who was murdered by a character played by Gabriel Byrne. The lovely Gabriel Byrne is the villain in this piece, which is, in my opinion, rather bizarre. Again, Angelica Houston is back as the director of the ballet. There is an appearance by Keanu Reeves, not long enough, in my opinion. He appears first in the first hour for literally a blink and miss it. little scene, and then in the last chapter he's on for a slightly longer. So if you are going to go and see this movie hoping to get tons and tons of John Wick of Keanu Reeves, then you're going to be sorely disappointed. This is there's a little bit of controversy going on with this movie because it was shown to the press, and there was an embargo caveat attached to it, which said you are allowed to have to give your feelings or what you thought of it, only not as a review, but as social media shares.
Okay.
You can share it on social media only if it's positive. Which is very bizarre. I need to find out the wording of it. I mean, I you know, but you feel free to look it up. The wording of it is opinions are welcome. Opinions are welcome. Positive opinions are welcome on social media, but for any reviews, you have to sit on it until Wednesday. What are we? The 4th, Wednesday the 4th, which has rubbed people in a really bad way because see, film fans and film critics don't like being told what they should. So I think you either have a really tight embargo on things, or you don't have an embargo. I don't believe in sort of this wishy-washy caveat, what nonsense of you can only give your opinions a good opinion. It's not something that we're really used to, it's not something that has been done that often. Actually, in the last maybe 15 years, this is maybe only the second time I ever heard of this. And I am absolutely flabbergasted that a person at, the distributor has actually, thought it was okay to do this and thought they could get away with it, because it has resulted in a really big backlash against the movie. All in all, I don't think the story of the ballerina is strong enough. I don't think it's a character that's really well known in a franchise enough to warrant a whole movie around her. I think she's perfectly capable. I think Ana de Armas is brilliant, and I felt like, I've really liked her. Was it in Bond that she was, there was the last Bond, that she had this, like a whole sort of 20 minutes of her being really kick-ass. I felt like the fight scenes here weren't, I don't think there was much of an effort. I don't know. I usually really like the fight scene in the whole of John Wick world. I'm a big fan of the John Wick world, and I like the martial arts stuff. And I think there's so many really talented people work on these movies. There was something lacking. I was bored, and I don't think, as I say, I don't think there is enough of a story there of this character that not many people even remember seeing in Parabellum. So I don't know how well it's going to do, and I don't know whether it's worth paying your money just to go and see John Wick in like a 10-minute section of the movie. I not impressive really, but hey, it's the John Wick world. If you like that kind of stuff, then yeah, go for it. Just pay your money, go and see it. It's a big movie. It's a big action movie in the summer. I think it's going to suffer because people are going to go and see other things, and all in all, not brilliant.
Oh dear. I'd have to admit, I don't remember the character being in the previous John Wick, but then I feel like I'm being so negative this week, but I don't like the John Wick films.
Oh, I like them. You have to leave your brain at home with the John Wick movies.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the problem. I'm watching films hoping for stories, and
yeah.
if it's just action, then I'm utterly unengaged.
It's not that. I think it's really. What I really love about these movies, this the stunt stuff, and it's like it really pays homage to like the traditional martial art movies from like 70s, 80s, or even earlier than that. And I really love that. I love seeing sort of these like a really intricate, it's almost like a dance, these
Yeah,
really intricate sort of martial art fights. And there's some really brilliant people in doing it, specifically in the John Wick movies. I'm not so much. I'm not convinced that it really worked in this latest one, but I think in the John Wick movies, I just find them. I find the whole thing like almost like a choreography. I just so beautifully done, and I just and it's another thing that Ballerina lacks. I find really attractive in the John Wick movies is the humor that comes with it. It's a film, it's a franchise that doesn't take itself seriously. It deals with serious sort of philosophical issues, but it's not a film that takes itself too seriously. And it lives in this kind of really weird world, and you've got to, as I say, you've got to switch your brain off, leave it outside, and just enjoy it for what it is. And it's never boring. The John Wick movies are never boring. There's something happening every 5 minutes. I felt like this was lacking in story, and it's lacking in action. I just don't see why. It feels like a completely pointless addition to the franchise. It's
yeah.
not terrible. It's not a one-star movie. There's enough there that people are gonna sort of appreciate going to see. But I felt like I wished I was I was watching a John Wick movie.
Hmm.
I was like, why am I not watching Keanu kick ass?
It's odd because my favorite moments from the John Wick films were always the hotel scenes with Ian McShane, where you got some dialogue or a little cameo from Peter Serafinovich,
Yeah.
and then it would go into some 20-minute extended hand combat scene, and my mind would just drift away.
Oh,
Uh,
I like those.
I take it Anna Diarma didn't play the ballerina in the previous appearance.
I Yeah, I don't think she did. No, I don't. Obviously not. Otherwise we would remember. Yeah, I don't think so. Um,
Uh, it's funny because her
because
appearance.
there isn't. Sorry, there isn't just one ballerina. So it's the director played by Angelica Houston is the she is the director of this underworld sort of school that teaches ballerinas how to become assassins. It's all
Oh,
very silly. It's all very silly, and it's like there are lots of them, and she just, she teaches her how to become. She's doing exactly the same job as John Wick. Basically, she's an assassin. She's an assassin for hire.
I see. Okay, maybe I fell asleep. I, but yes, I agree. Her appearance in No Time to Die was
Mm,
brilliant. I thought she
yeah,
was so good in that. I was actually gutted when she didn't appear in the rest of the film. It was such a shame
yeah,
she was only in that first 20 minutes, and she's a great
mm,
actress. But
yeah. She's
sounds like
brilliant.
this not a great one. But then I look at the director's filmography, and it's pretty bad, to be fair. Two Underworld movies, the last Die Hard movie, and then the Total Recall remake. So yeah, not a
Yeah,
great surprise, I suppose. This isn't top level filmmaking. Well, that's
he's the ex Mr. Kate Beckinsale. I believe they're no longer together.
oh, okay. Interesting. Um, well, that's yes, that makes sense. Okay, well, that's our Linda's second possible choice for you at the box office. Perhaps you won't be choosing that one though, from the sounds of it.
Oh, go and see it. It might be you might find it fun and switch, like I say, switch your brain off and just go and enjoy it. I just didn't think there was enough there to sort of entertain for a very long time, and it's quite long. It's 2 hours long. It didn't need to be 2 hours long.
Mm.
An hour and a half would have been sufficient.
I imagine the die-hard John Wick fans will be going anyway, and Anna Diarma isn't too bad a bit of a draw herself. So yes, I'm sure it'll do absolutely fine. Well, It feels like it's my turn to offer you a cinematic choice, although it's not in the cinema, so you'll have to seek it out yourselves. It's another classic celebrating its anniversary. I promised you last week that this week's film would be slightly more modern than my previous two offerings from the 40s and 50s. True, it is slightly more modern, but it's still 40 years old itself, celebrating its 40th anniversary this month. A film that, when I looked it up, I was disappointed to find has awful ratings online, had terrible viewer reviews, and actually got terrible critical reviews at the time of its release.
Oh, really?
But I loved this film as a child, and I still love it. I watched it again last night to just refresh my mind, and I was laughing non-stop all the way through. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Brewster's Millions from 1985.
Oh, wow.
Money. Everyone wants it. Until now, Monty Brewster didn't have it.
They tell me you're my only living relative.
But he just made money the old-fashioned way.
You have 30 days in which to spend $30 million.
He inherited it.
If you can do it, you get $300 million. But if you fail, you don't get diddly.
Why can't I tell my friends?
Because I don't want anybody to help me out.
What's wrong? Spike, what's wrong? $30 million. The man just got $30 million given to him. This is a good day, you know.
He can't keep it unless he can spend it and have nothing left but the shirt on his back.
Oh, we're gonna have a lot of fun with this kind of money. Jake, I'd like to hire you as my official photographer. Salary $10,000 a week. How would you like to be my personal driver for the next 30 days at $5,000 a week?
What a country. America, love it.
Hey, everybody, anybody want to go to lunch?
Everyone thinks he's crazy.
I want to bet $50,000. It went up. We'll sell it.
I think we should consider the possibility of psychiatric help.
At the rate you're going, you'll have spent your entire inheritance in less than a month, and you'll have nothing to show for it.
But $300 million says he's right on the money. Richard Pryor and John Candy.
It's like that old saying, you know, if for money I'd be a millionaire. I'm a millionaire.
Brewster's Millions. Coming soon from Universal Pictures.
It stars Richard Pryor and John Candy in the lead roles, and is directed by Walter Hill. Now, it's based on a novel from George Barr McCutcheon from 1902, and it's actually been made into films 7 times. It's a highly remade film. And as I say, this one, sadly, not well thought of by critics or filmgoers at the time. But I still attest it's very funny, and anything with John Candy in it, I will watch. And then you have the added bonus of Richard Pryor. So, as I said, I recommend this film. What's it about? It's about a man who plays baseball in a minor league in nowhere, America, or Hackensack, for the Hackensack Bulls, a made-up team. He's a person who had a chance at Major League Baseball, but is now aging out. And then one day he thinks he's being watched by a scout from the major leagues again. And this guy comes to speak to him the next day after John Candy and Richard Pryor get arrested in a bar brawl that evening. And he bails him out and takes him to New York, but doesn't tell him why he's taking him to New York. So, as I say, Pryor thinks that he's being scouted by the Yankees, but it turns out when he gets to the offices in New York that, in fact, he's got a long-lost great uncle that he didn't know about, who offers him the chance to inherit $30 million. Now, it comes with conditions. The conditions are that he can either take $1 million now, or he can attempt to inherit $300 million by spending $30 million in 30 days. What he has to do, he has to spend all of it. He can't give it away. He can't spend it on items that he damages. And he can't tell anyone why he's doing it. So this creates a nice little dramatic tension throughout the film, where his best friend, John Candy, playing a character called Spike Nolan, the catcher in the baseball team, follows him around like a sort of overexcited, enthusiastic child, and thinks Monty Brewster, played by Richard Pryor, should be more enthusiastic about this money that he's inherited. And he can't understand why he's A, blowing all the money so quickly, and B, every time he makes more money from his investments, gets more upset and frustrated rather than happy. So the film goes on from there. We follow Monty Brewster trying to spend this $30 million in 30 days in inventive ways. It's a character comedy, really. Obviously, there are situations, but it's more about the interactions between the characters. And Pryor and Candy are on top form, delivering brilliant one-liners at each other, especially Candy. He's absolutely flawless in his delivery of some great one-liners throughout the film. Perhaps it's not peak Pryor. He's got some great films like Silver Streak, Stir Crazy, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, where he's working with Gene Wilder. And this isn't possibly on that level because, as critics have said, his character is somewhat neutered from the Richard Pryor that people knew from his live performances. Sort of interestingly, although you have Richard Pryor, a black lead in this film, and there are other prominent black characters in the film, race doesn't really come into it, quite interestingly, which I would expect in a Richard Pryor film. There's the odd reference where at one point Candy and Pryor are locked up in a jail cell, and Candy turns to Pryor and says, "I don't think they're racist because I'm in here with you," which is just a nice line. But thinking about it, because Walter Hill had previously worked on, directed 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy, I wonder if the film would actually work better with Eddie Murphy in it, because Pryor cuts this sort of frustrated, subdued character throughout a lot of the film, and I think Murphy might have been able to pull it off a little bit better. Where Pryor gets sort of cut loose is when he decides a great way to spend some of this 30 million is to run for mayor of New York. And he comes up with this slogan that for his audience, to vote for none of the above. So to not vote for his two competitors and to also not vote for him, as he tries to prove what a sham and scam the whole mayoral elections are. And at the rallies and on the adverts, Richard Pryor really suddenly comes alive in that part of the film. Others in the film include Lonette McKee, who plays Angela Drake, his paralegal. Stephen Collins plays her fiance. Hume Cronin, who's appeared in numerous classic films like Hitchcock's Shadow of a Doubt and Lifeboat in the 40s. He then went on to be in Cleopatra in the 60s. He's in one of my favourite films, The Parallax View, in the 70s with Warren Beatty. He appeared in The World According to Garp with Robin Williams in the 80s, and of course appeared in some, I don't know if classic is quite the right term. They're films that everybody knows, and they're always on TV, but they're maybe not brilliant. But he was in Cocoon 1 and 2, and he was in Batteries Not Included. And then right at the end of his career, he appeared in the brilliant Pelican Brief and Marvin's Room. And also David White, who is Darren's boss from Bewitched, the TV series, if you remember, is one of the men working against Montgomery. And Jerry Orbach plays Charlie Pegler, the coach of the Hackensack Bulls. He's absolutely fantastic in this film. He regularly turns up in episodes of Murder, She Wrote as a sort of PI. And as I say, he's a sort of frustrated, cynical baseball coach in this, and he's absolutely hilarious. And Rick Moranis also makes a small cameo in the film. As I was watching it again last night, I was reminded of Trading Places. I've already mentioned Eddie Murphy, and both of those films are sort of odd parables. They're like moral tales about learning that money doesn't matter. But because they're set in the 80s, they're quite materialistic, and they sort of tell you that money doesn't matter. But in both cases, the heroes at the end walk away with a lot of money. So it's kind of thing, money doesn't matter, but isn't it brilliant to have lots of money? So, and as it turns out, Brewster's Millions is written by the same writers as Trading Places. So that was obviously a theme high in their mind at this time in their lives. As I said, it was very badly reviewed. Variety said that it's hard to believe a comedy starring Richard Pryor and John Candy is no funnier than this, which is pretty mean.
Who was the reviewer? This is obviously 40 years ago.
It doesn't give a name, just says Variety. And whilst I can give a name for this one, Janet Maslin of the New York Times called the film a screwball comedy minus the screws. They sort of blamed Walter Hill quite a lot because really this is his only comedy in his filmography. He'd already directed 48 Hours, as I said, but that's a sort of detective crime thriller with a few laughs. It's kind of more in the line of Beverly Hills Cop, but not as funny as Beverly Hills Cop. Um, so yeah, maybe he's not a comedy director. But like I said, it's a childhood favorite of mine. I watched it
You're
repeatedly.
not alone. So many people love that movie. So it
Yeah.
just goes to show that critics don't know anything.
Or maybe we all just got, sentimentally attached to it. But like I say, I think it's a very funny film, and I could watch Pryor and Candy on screen forever. Like I say, I'll watch anything with John Candy in it. Um, when I was looking at other films that I thought Pryor was great in, I came up with another film which isn't actually that popular, which because I love him in Superman 3. And I think he's better in that because he's more confident, he's more conniving, and he's slightly less, as I say, frustrated and downtrodden than he is in this. It's got a great soundtrack by Ry Cooder, with a title song written by Cooder with Huey Lewis, the 80s stalwart, with Patti LaBelle singing it. And some lovely gags. There's one wonderful gag with Hume Cronin where he's basically given a living will and he's been filmed, and Monty is watching this, but he's speaking to it, and the film is speaking back to him as if they can.
I love that.
It was a very nice joke. So that's it really for me on Brewster's Millions. 40 years old, still funny, and if you like baseball, well, there's another reason to watch it. John Candy, Richard Pryor. Don't believe the critics. It is a classic.
Critics don't know anything. Says the critic. Honestly, I always say, if you want, it's an opinion like any other. Sometimes there is a consensus within sort of the whole sort of the whole community of critics, because a film is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But I am of the opinion that some people encourage each other, in sort of dogging on a movie. And I find it like there are so many movies that everyone's hated that I've ended up really loving, and not because I'm being edgelordy or deliberately awkward, more because I see in them something that others have not seen. And then years later, people start to sort of warm to these movies. I always, there are so many movies that I've loved so much that have fallen by the wayside, and then they appear in a different form, like, years later, and everyone loves them suddenly. So,
Yeah, and of course, I imagine there's an element occasionally that people are afraid to sort of step out of the crowd and say, "Oh, actually, I quite liked it," or even the other way around, saying, "Are you sure?" That's.
I've never been worried about that. Genuinely, it's not something I've never had like that sort of awkward shame of sort of being the only person who liked the movie. Actually, I wear it as a badge. I have no qualms about disagreeing with people on their opinion, and that's fine. Like, it's, as I say, your opinion is your own, and as long as you're able to sort of put forward the reasons why you like a movie, as opposed to hating it as if like everyone else has, then you have every single right to like it. It's just, we are all moved differently by things, aren't we? So.
And I think it's important to acknowledge that sometimes you watch a film in your youth and you love it, and you have to admit you still love it, but it's not a great movie, which I could be accused of with this. But I do think it's a genuinely funny film. So I encourage the audience out there to seek it out and let me know. I'll probably get bombarded with messages saying, "What the hell are you talking about, Joe? This is an absolutely dreadful film." But we shall see. We shall see. At least you'll have watched it.
Yeah, exactly.
Horizons. So let's go back to the professional critic and find out what our third possible choice is at the box office this week.
For my third film, we're going down under. unfortunately for all of us. A survival horror movie. It's not a survival horror movie. It's more of a really odious horror movie slasher, directed by Sean Byrne. Quite an interesting premise again. So it follows a surfer who is abducted by a serial killer who takes her on his boat and basically threatens to feed her to sharks. And the whole film it revolves around her trying to escape him. So the main character is played by Hassie Harrison. She's Sapphire, a American traveler around Australia. I mean, I think the whole story comes from, there's been an onslaught of abductions and murders of young travelers and gap year travelers to Australia, and so this basically feeds into that paranoia.
What's the name of this film?
It's sorry, did I know it's not say it's called Dangerous Animals.
People don't understand the hierarchy of animals in this world. They don't think with their brains, they think with their guts. Now, what your guts understand is 300 razor-sharp teeth, tearing flesh from bone. Welcome aboard.
And as I say, it's directed by Sean Byrne, who it's not someone that I've known about. He's made a film called The Devil's Candy and The Loved Ones. Devil Candy is more known than The Loved Ones. Don't think I've seen either of those movies. It's a film that knows the horror genre quite well, and it is a kind of a slasher. What annoyed me about it is that there is a lot of time wasted in the abductee manages to escape, and then she's caught again, and then escapes, she's caught again, almost in a risible manner. And if you are able to sit through that nonsense, then good luck to you. The only good thing this movie has going for it is that it's 1 hour and 30 minutes, and that's a perfect length movie. There are some interest. Actually, the guy who plays the serial killer Tucker is played by Jai Courtney, and he is absolutely brilliant in this. He's in scenery chewing mode, and I don't know if anyone else would have been able to play that role as well as him. He's very, very good in this. He's possibly the only good thing about this movie. It's almost laughable how much fun he's having with a character, and he's again one of those characters who gets punched, stabbed, hit over the head several times, yet doesn't die, no bruises, no nothing. Manages to get up again and carry on being his villainous self. It's hilariously over the top, and it's I don't know if it's deliberately silly, but it's definitely very nothing new. It is it's very much a result of its genre. So Yeah, all in all, I don't think it's terrible, but it's not brilliant. It's not. It doesn't reinvent the horror genre in any way, but it's worth seeing for Jay Courtney's brilliant performance as a serial killer weirdo obsessed with sharks and obsessed with making young women suffer. Yeah. Other than that, the boyfriend of the abductee is played by model turned actor Josh Houston, who is Australian. Not a great amount of sort of acting is required from either of him or Hassie Harrison. They're both pretty, mediocre, if you ask me. Other than that, it's really well. It's a beautiful looking movie, and hats off to cinematographer Shelley Farthingdore, who does an absolutely brilliant film. And Australia on the film looks incredible anyway. And it's other than that, that's it really. I have nothing more to say on the subject, and I feel like a shark movie ought to sort of leave you afraid of setting foot in water. It didn't do that for me. It's not Sharknado, and it's it's not Sharknado, nor is it Jaws. So it's not. Yeah. Of all the shark movies, I don't think this is going to be remembered in any way, shape, or form.
It not being Sharknado is a recommendation, isn't it?
Well, Sharknado at least is fun. Sharknado is fun. It knows it's fun. It knows it's silly. It knows that it's there to sort of for the lols, So I just, again, it's not a terrible movie, but it's very, very predictable, and I got really wound up by the abductee being able to escape and then recaptured and escape and recaptured. That kind of lazy writing really gets on my nerves, and it's very lazy.
Fair enough. That's funny. During that review, I was thinking, "Oh, is this the film of the week?" And then
no, it's not.
And I thought, "Oh no, it's not, is it?"
Oh gosh, I don't know. It's a very mediocre week, I have to say. I've got one more film to see tomorrow, which is God, what's it called? It's How to Train a Dragon, but that's out on Monday, and it's embargoed until Monday. So make of that what you will. So yeah,
those are. I quite enjoyed the first one, but I wasn't crying out for the sequels, and I certainly wasn't crying out for a live action remake. But not to prejudge. It's
good cast.
Yeah, oh god, yeah, absolutely.
Decent cast. I'm looking forward to it. I should let you know what I thought, but again, we cannot review until Monday.
Fair enough. I never thought I would live to hear the words Jay Courtney is the best thing in this film, and I mean,
he is the best thing in it. He's just, he's like, he plays the villain in such a perfect way that it's almost comical, but it's brilliant, But no, would I say it's the best movie? No, I wouldn't say it's the best movie of the week. I don't think I have a movie of the week this week, I'm afraid. Sorry. Go watch whatever is in cinema right now. Don't watch these three.
Fair enough. I was just looking back through his filmography.
Yeah, go watch Lilo and Stitch, or go watch The Salt Path. Here you go.
Yeah,
watch The Salt Path, or the new or the Phoenician Scheme.
Excellent recommendation. No, it's funny. I was just looking back through his filmography, and it's pretty poor. In fact, he's actually in A Good Day to Die Hard, to mention another Die Hard film, another poor Die Hard film. Probably his best film is Alita: Battle Angel, which of course.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's a terrible movie as well. To be honest,
I quite enjoyed it.
Oh no,
I think it was amazing, but I thought it was all right.
Yeah, he was in the Suicide Squad.
Yes, no, he was. He's in both of them. The first one absolutely awful. The second one quite enjoyable. So the both sides of the coin from Jay Courtney.
Yeah, Okay, what else was he in? Terminator Genesis.
God.
He's been in a bunch of stuff, quite a few. Mostly films that were,
Fourth or fifth film down the franchise line.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
The
Australian
he's
Sam
good in this.
Worthington.
He's good as a villain. I just, I was excited and sort of interested in what was going on the screen every time he was on. Less when everyone else was.
Fair enough. And I do like a shark movie, so I'm destined to be checking this out. I'm sure of it. Right, so
that's what we like to hear.
let's round up with some film news, which is largely dominated by trailers for upcoming releases this week, rather than sort of actual solid news. But we'll share with you, and hopefully there'll be something interesting and informative, and also entertaining for you. So let's start with, speaking of John Wick earlier, a new Keanu film trailer has dropped. A trailer from Aziz Ansari's new comedy Good Fortune, starring Keanu Reeves with Seth Rogen.
Martha?
Yes, Gabriel.
Is there any way I can have more meaningful duties? I want to guide people. I want to change their lives.
To save a lost soul, you have to find a lost soul.
Hey, Arch, don't forget your pee bottle, bro.
A lost soul. Arch, I'm an angel. My name is Gabriel. I'm here to save you.
What? Who the fuck are you? How do you know my name?
I'm normally only in charge of saving people from texting and driving.
Wait, you're telling me I have a budget guardian angel?
Kinda.
Do you know that guy who's got the long hair, kind of tall?
Oh, yeah, Gabriel. He's an angel.
He's fucking hot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go sit on his face.
That will really confuse him.
That's due out in October. Kevin Feige has said that the new Fantastic Four First Steps movie is the chance to do what he called the most important characters for the history of Marvel justice after the
If he says so.
Yeah.
If he says so.
Let's just hope he's right. Because I think if they get this one wrong, we may never see the Fantastic Four ever again. Another trailer out this week is for this is one for the, what did you call it last week? The Silver Pound, or the
the Grey Pound.
Grey Pound, that's right.
Grey Pound.
This is one for them. Richard Osman's book, The Thursday Murder Club, has been adapted. Director Chris Columbus is bringing that to the screen at the end of August, with the cast of Helen Mirren, Ben Kingsley, Celia Emery, and Pierce Brosnan. And the new trailer has appeared for that.
Our latest cold case is from May the 11th, 1973.
Oh my God. Isn't this room usually for jigsaws?
Not on a Thursday, no. Welcome to Cooper's Chase. We investigate cold cases.
Everybody gather round!
We're a team.
All systems go.
Roger that.
There's been a murder. An actual murder. Now we've got a real case to solve, isn't it wonderful? Obviously, R.I.P. and all that. Who are you?
I'm sorry, how rude of me. We're the Thursday Murder Club.
We also, speaking of murder mysteries, have a trailer for the new Knives Out mystery, Wake Up Dead Man, which isn't out actually until December, but looking forward to that.
Looking forward to that as well.
Oh, dead. Oh, dead.
The impossible crime.
Won't you spare me over till another year?
For a man, a reason. This is the Holy Grail.
This was dressed as a miracle.
It's just a murder. And I solve murders.
I'll open the door to heaven or hell.
I just wish it wasn't a Netflix movie, you know.
Yes, that is.
I just wish it was a proper old-fashioned, you know, 6 months in the cinema. Well, we don't get 6 months in cinema anymore, but at least 3-4 months in the cinema, non-stop, and then off we go on DVD. This will get a cinema release, obviously, like loads of Netflix movies. But at the same time, I just think it's very sad that it's not solely a cinema release. Yeah.
Yes, no, I agree. Although the only caveat, and I do wholly agree with you, but the only caveat I'll add to that is I remember back to when I was a child, and I think it would be the same for both of us, the torture of waiting 2 years for a film to come from the cinema to the TV screen. Oh my God. It felt like an ice age was passing before we finally got to see those films.
Yeah, I think that's more exciting. It gives you something to look forward. It's not like...
Absolutely, yeah.
I just feel like people want gratification, instant gratification nowadays, and it almost renders everything less exciting.
Yes,
you know, looking forward to stuff is good.
Yes.
Looking forward to, like, you know, I don't want to think about something and then it appearing straight away. What's the fun in that?
It does. You do sort of chew over films quickly, don't you? You have this brilliant film and everyone talks about it for a week, and then it's like, well, what's the next one? It's like, well, why not enjoy that for a bit?
Why are we in such a hurry?
Yeah. And of course, when we were, you know, as children, you would see that film that finally came to the TV screen, be it Indiana Jones or Star Wars or Back to the Future, and then that was all you talked about in school the next day because everyone had seen it, because everyone had been looking forward to it, and there were only 4 channels back in the days. But talking of Netflix releases, there's another film that should be in cinemas, but for some reason isn't. Coming out in November is Guillermo del Toro's next film, another adaptation of Frankenstein.
I had determined that the memory of my evils should die with me. Some of what I will tell you is fact. Some is not. But it is all true. What manner of creature is that? What manner of devil made him? I did. I had a vision. An idea took shape in my mind. Inevitable. Unavoidable. Until it became truth. Seeking life, I created death.
Which, as I say, for some reason is a Netflix film, but hopefully
it will probably get a very limited cinema release. Very, very limited. Again, I just, you know, like cinema's killing itself from the inside. It's, I understand that money is scarce in Hollywood, but allowing films like this to be on streaming giants like Netflix and Amazon is just, it's literally killing cinema very slowly.
Yes.
We don't know what we're doing. And
I mean, and Frankenstein has to be one of the most adapted stories ever. There seems to be a new Frankenstein film coming along every year, but Guillermo del Toro seems to be, in my mind, the perfect man to do it.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
What else have we got? Co-directors of Bring Her Back, Michael and Danny Philippou, probably pronouncing that wrong, have said Sally Hawkins is terrifying in their new movie, a horror film also set in Australia. So we'll look forward to that.
Is she terrifying or terrific?
No, terrifying apparently.
Okay.
Hard to believe, the mother of Paddington, but we shall see. She's a brilliant actress. I'm sure she can do it if she wants to. And we have a trailer for Scott Derrickson's horror sequel Black Phone 2, which is also due out in October.
The smallest missing boy who's running for his life. And the tallest kid was killed in the woods. The third boy wore a denim jacket. He was all burnt up. This place. This is where it happened.
And well, that's it actually for this week. That's the end of the news. So that's the end of this episode of Meet Me in the Foyer, where you've met us in the foyer and we've shared with you some less than stellar films. But hey, we're just here to inform. You make your own choices. You spend your money how you want.
Well, I mean, it's not been a terribly exciting week. Perhaps from next week, what we should do when we have a week as mediocre as this, maybe we should look up what's on TV. What's on terrestrial TV and sort of recommend something from there, because some weeks you have tons of movies coming out and then other weeks you get all the sort of the crap and all the films that aren't the best of the bunch, and they all tend to come out the same week because they are, it's a deliberate thing, obviously, because some not every movie gets the release it deserves because and some weeks we just get the dregs of I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think this Dangerous Animals movie actually just opened at Cannes very recently. So, yeah.
I doubt that one will get a standing ovation for 10 minutes, as some do. But there can't be classics every week. As I say, we're just here to educate and inform, and you make your own choices. But meet us again in the foyer next week when we'll bring you more options on how to spend your money. And who knows, next week might unearth some unforeseen classic that we didn't know was coming around the corner. So remember, when you're voting for your favourite film show, vote for none of the above, but you can vote for us because like that. You love us. So meet us again next week in the foyer. Until then, goodbye. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Meet me in the foyer.